Hey there, I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate.
And today we're taking a look at Holi, Festival of Colors by Floodgate Games.
Holi is a game in which you are going to be moving about during the Festival of Colors, trying to spread your color tokens as much as you can on the different levels. This is a 3-story game, so it's got a 3D aspect to it. You're also trying to hit your opponents with your color tokens, and you're going to be doing that by playing cards. We'll take a look at it down below, show you how it works, come back and share our thoughts on this one from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective. All right, here's Holi, Festival of Colors on the table. Let me show you guys how this spatial game works, in which you are going to be playing not on one board, not on 2 boards, but you're going to be playing on 3 floors of boards. And in this game, you are going to be trying to spread your color on the different boards, trying to hit the other players, trying to grab up these sweet tokens, all in hopes of having the most points to be the winner. Show you some of the components in this game. You are going to have trays that contain all of the different player pieces. You have yellow, you have blue, you have green, and you have red. And let me tell you guys, the production value on this game is off the charts. Now, in my copy of the game, I don't know if this is true of every copy of the game, but I was given 2 sets of player pieces. We have the chunky meeple version with the decals on the sides, and I have this more porcelain-like figurine that's very detailed. And you can play with either one of these. It's your choice. You also have some cards here and color tokens. The cards and color tokens are extremely important in this game as you take your actions. So, looking at our gameplay overview card here, it will show you your player turns, your game end, and your scoring, and then what you're doing on your turn. So let's cover what you will be doing on your turn. You are going to have to throw color every time it is your turn. That is mandatory. We'll cover the 2 ways in which you do that here in a second. But your 2 optional actions are that you can move your figure, and when you move anywhere you want on the floor that you're on, so long as there's not another player in that spot. And at the beginning, you're probably going to want to move picking up these sweets tokens, because for every player that has fewer sweet tokens than you at the end of the game, you're going to get 5 points. So you want to try to make sure you have the most of these at the end of the game. And when you move there, you just pick them up. Now, if there happens to be another player's, let's say that there is another player's color on that space. If I move there, I have to pick that up, and that's bad because for every one of another player's color tokens that you've picked up, you're going to give them 2 points at the end of the game. You want to make sure to give your colors to the other players. Now, that's moving, and that's optional. You do not have to move. The other optional thing you can do is you can climb up, and so let's cover what that is here in just 1 second. In order to climb up, you have to be surrounded by color. And it doesn't matter whose color it is. It could be yours, it could be another player's. Just so long as you have color on all of the 4 orthogonal directions around you. At any point on your turn, you can say, oh, look, I'm surrounded. I am going to move up. Now, when you move up, you move to the exact same spot just on the floor above. And you do have the grid here on the sides. You can see on this side, we have numbers. So I was on 3 here, and then on this side, I got to kind of swing around here. You can see that there are letters. I was on the E, it looks like. And so E3, and I make sure that I go to the same spot, E3. Now, there could not have been another player on that spot. If so, I would not have been allowed to move up. Now, we'll come back to moving up and why you want to do that and how it interacts with the game. But first, I want to show you guys what throwing color looks like. So coming back down here, when you throw color, there are 2 different ways you do it. The first is by playing one of your cards. And there are going to be 2 different types of cards in your deck of cards. And the first kind is the more simple version. You are going to have a 3x3 grid on the card with some spaces that are colored in with your player color. And what you're going to do is you're going to place your figure in one of those colored squares, and it will show you where you're throwing your paint on the other colored squares based on how you have the card oriented.
Now, so for instance, where my player piece is right there, I could have it oriented like that, and I would be placing it in this square right here on this card. And so I'm going to be throwing color here and here. We cannot throw color where there already is color. So in order for this to work, this spot would have to be empty. But I would be essentially throwing color here and throwing color there based off of the way this card is arranged. Now, I could orient this in different ways. I could have done it like that. I could have done it, I could not have done it like that because you cannot have a colored space off the edge of the board. You can have non-colored spaces be off of the edge, but all of your colored spaces have to actually be on the board. The other type of card you're going to have are ones that have the lotus icon on them. And when you have these cards, that's the space that your player piece is going to have to be in order to play that card. So you can see how that works out. Now that's the one way that you can throw color. The other way that you can do it is you can simply play a card face down into your discard pile, and you can throw one color anywhere you want on the floor that you're on. Again, so long as it does not already have a color, and you cannot throw it directly at a player. Now, when you are playing the cards face up and using the actual diagram on the card, you are going to want to be trying to hit the other players with that color because you get a 1 point bonus as soon as that happens. And then, as I've already mentioned, at the end of the game, for every one of your player tokens, color tokens that are in somebody else's supply, you are going to get 2 points for that at the end of the game. So you really want to try to hit the other players. Now, if you are on a higher floor and you are throwing color, you first have to look at the floor below you to see if that color stays where it's at. So for instance, if I place color here, I look directly at the floor below it, there's a color space there, so this color is going to stay here. It does not fall through. However, if I were to throw color right here, there is nothing on this space here, so this color is going to fall through, and I won't unfortunately get my color token up here on this floor because again, these are worth 1, these are worth 2 points, and any color that I have up here is going to be worth 3 points. So you can see how it becomes more and more difficult to get your color to stay up here, especially up here, because you're going to need more and more color tokens on these floors below you. Players are going to continue taking actions, playing cards, throwing out color, and when you run out of cards or you run out of color tokens, then your game is over, and other players get to continue until they run out, at which point when all players have run out, then you are going to go to final scorer, and you're going to count up your points to see who has the most. That player is going to be the winner. Now, lastly, you do have a couple of cards, deck of cards here that are going to change up the basic rules of the game. I'm not going to show you all of the cards as there's a lot of them in here, but I'll show you a couple of them. Some of them will have you change up how much points you get for certain things. 1 point for each color token on the edge or corner space. So you want to try to get your tokens on the edge if this card is in play. Another one says double the value of color tokens on corner spaces, and 1 point for each color token in the largest connected area of your tokens on a single level. So you can see how this really shakes up the game and your strategy adds to the replayability. That is how you play Holi. Let's go back up top, share our thoughts on this one.
All right, we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on Holi from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective while you guys check out some gameplay footage of a game between Sam and I. Sam, first impressions, seeing this on the table, you've got these 3 stories, the clear plastic floors, got bright colors, interesting player pieces. What were your first thoughts when you saw this?
We've been watching Big Bang Theory, and it reminded me of 3D chess.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
But I was very interested in it. We have a couple of games, maybe 1 or 2 that have levels to them.
Yeah.
But it's always interesting to see how that's going to come into play.
Yeah. For me, I'm a real sucker for those kind of things. And I know some people would say, well, that's just a gimmick. That's just something that, gets you looking at it. But what's the gameplay really like? Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm like, just get me in the door and you'll probably have my attention.
Yeah.
So, Now, let's let's talk about the gameplay. For you as a non-gamer, what was the experience like in trying to figure out what it was you were trying to accomplish and how you could be successful in this game?
I mean, it was very easy to understand. I actually very much disagree with the age range on here. I think 13 plus is way higher.
Yeah,
I think our 9-year-old, with a little bit of help,
Sure.
could understand this game.
Yeah.
Especially on the first level. First level, you know, very easy to understand. As you're going up, there is more strategy, more thinking.
Well, it's the visual part to it.
Yeah, and that was a little difficult trying to figure out where you could put pieces, and then we had the bonus of trying to put your pieces on top of the layer above your other pieces.
Right.
And then we barely got to the third level.
Yeah, we did not spend much time up there.
But it was a very interesting game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, easy to understand.
Right. I played this at a con with some people, and the big thing that I picked up on playing it with different types of people were that some people really exceeded and did well at this game, and they were able to understand the visual aspect of it, and that if I move here and I throw color there, there's already color below the floor in those spaces, so it's going to stay there. Some people really got that idea. Other people struggled with it. And even though they struggled with it, I felt that this was a game that was received well by many. That it was a cool experience that kept them interested, intrigued the whole way through. And several of those people asked to play again as soon as we were done. They said, I liked that. I want to play again.
Yeah.
So this was a high success rate, in my opinion, that this worked really well with a lot of the people that I played with. You mentioned the different scoring cards that you can play with in this game. And those, in my opinion, changed the feel to this game so much.
Yeah.
And
I'd like to see what the other ones are.
Yeah. In one game, you might be wanting to spread your color on the edge of the board to get more points. In another game, you might be wanting to solely focus on hitting your opponent with those tokens. It just kind of changes exactly what it is you're trying to accomplish. And not that that's new in anything, because that's in a lot of games, that idea of getting more points by choosing to do this more than that. But in this particular game, those color tokens and where they're placed on the board mean everything.
Yeah.
And it can change your whole strategy. So you can have extremely different experiences with this game, and all of them are really cool. Yeah. It's a really cool experience with this one.
And I like thinky games. I like not games that are so complicated that you have to sit there and think what you're going to do, but that there's lots of options. What's my best option? Where should I move? And it takes time. It takes the 20 to 40 minutes because you do have to give each person that time to think. The actual movements, are quick.
Yeah.
And a lot, and yeah.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. This is a game that it's a quieter experience, I feel like.
And those tend to be somewhat, if you go back and see our other games, that tends to be something that we really
works
enjoy.
well in our,
We just like to not hear each other talk for a little while.
No, it's just that we're thinking through our turns, and like you said, and I feel this way 100% about this game, I'm trying to find the best move each time it's my turn, which that's board gaming, but in this game
there's a lot of I'm taking
right.
that you kind of have to be patient.
I'll get 2 tokens to stay on the floor if I move here, but if I move there, I'll get all 3.
And
if I move there, they're on the edge. If I move here, I can hit her with it. I mean, there's a lot of that going on, and you're adding up the numbers. And that's a fun experience with this game. Not to mention the fact that it looks so cool on the table.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games out there where you're trying to weigh out what is the best move, and it's fun doing that, but it's just meh on the table.
Yeah.
This also has the table presence to really kind of knock it out of the park. So really cool experience with this one, I feel like. Not to mention, we haven't even gotten to the production on this game. The production value is just outstanding. The components with this game, the player pieces, the game trays, I mean, it's really outstanding. This is a really well done game. So let's get into our pros and cons with Holi, Festival of Colors. You as a non-gamer, what were the things that did this game really well?
Just the how everything looks is fantastic. It's an easy game to understand, fairly quick to play, especially with 2 players.
Yeah.
I think it would be really interesting to play it with 4 players.
Okay.
But we've only played it with 2.
I've played it before.
Oh, okay. So I think it played really well with 2. I think that, and I wouldn't even call it a con, I think the throwing color at the opponent, I didn't play aggressively very well in this game.
Yeah.
It felt more like, I don't know, that was hard for me. I wanted just to focus on me and my color, but that's how you get.
Yeah, there's different styles of play that come into this game, and you're right, there is the more aggressive, and I'm going to chase you down and throw color at you nonstop. And then there's the, well, I'm going to just spread out my color.
I don't play offense very well.
And then there's even the kind of the passive aggressive in that I'm going to spread my color, but I'm going to spread it on those sweet tokens. And if you want those sweet tokens, you're going to have to pick up my color. So there's even that kind of idea with this. And that's a fun experience with that.
Yeah.
Anything else on this one?
No, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I think it has great table presence, and it's a very interesting game to play with a non-gamer. I think it really, again, we've talked about this with a couple games tonight. It just shows how diverse board games can be.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to throw out there too, I'm not extremely familiar with the theme behind this game, but I've taken some classes, some world religion classes, and from what I understand about that, this is a game that does that theme well, that culture and that tradition well. And man, it would make me proud, I think, if I were a part of that culture and practice that. This would just be a really cool game to have and show off to people. So. Yeah, I think this knocks it out of the park. So let's get to our scale on this one, or score, excuse me. Scale of 1 to 10, love to hate. What do you give this one?
I think I'd give this, I'd rate it pretty high. I'd probably give it like a 7.5.
Okay, yeah, solid score.
Yeah.
I'm higher. I'm going to be right about 7.8 on this one. I think this is the game that is just, a smidge below one of the best games of the year kind of conversation topics when it comes to games. And that's just simply because of everything that we said for it. The only reason why I would maybe rate it just a smidge lower than that is because it is a pretty light, straightforward experience. I
think that makes it perfect for non-gamers.
It does. It absolutely does. It's 30 seconds into it. You understand the game and you're ready to go. That doesn't mean that it's boring or it's going to lose your interest. As I've already said, everybody has really had a good time with this, and they're wanting more of it after the game's over. But that's just a smidge why it's not right there with the best games of the year conversation for me. So that is Holi, Festival of Colors from Floodgate Games. Go check it out.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.